Hey there, it's Jim and Debbie with another episode of the Midday Minute. Debbie, we were just doing this last week.
Weeks go by really fast.
The weekly schedule is a little bit of a grind, and I'm wondering once we're sort of in a soft reopening at the office, and once we're going in more frequently, we may revert to a bi-weekly schedule. I don't know, we kind of feel that out.
We'll have to give our viewers what they want.
Well, yes, exactly. Let us know in the comments.
Right.
If you'd like us to stick to weekly or bi-weekly or what. And of course, there's a lot of news coming down the pike. So at least as long as there's the news warrants this frequency, we can continue. All right, today's episode, Meaghan Morris from the CIP is going to be joining us to talk about the Spotlight Grants that launched on June 1st, and she's going to bring us up to speed on the first 3 weeks of the release. But before we get to that, we have a contest winner to announce.
We sure do. I'd like to congratulate Mark Fleur for winning our soft credit this week, $50 soft credit, just for commenting with the hashtag ENFMidday. So congratulations, Mark.
Yeah, well done, Mark. Mark's one of our friends from the Kansas City area, right? He's active with the Hoop Shoot. Good guy. His son actually lives in the Chicago area. So he's been in town a couple times. We've been able to connect and go out for a drink and that sort of thing, which is always a fun opportunity when that's able to happen outside the normal things, like the typically normal things like convention and whatever. Mark, let us know in the comments below or by emailing enf@elks.org how you would like us to apply the $50 soft credit that you've won to an ENF-funded program of your choice. And again, all he did was comment on the last episode. If you comment on today's episode with that hashtag ENFMidday, you'll be entered into a drawing to win another $50 soft credit. So why not, right?
Couldn't be easier.
Could not be easier. And now, you know what else couldn't be easy, Debbie? Easier?
Letting Meaghan Morris into our chat.
Yeah, well, I was going to say applying and getting a Spotlight grant. Could not be easier right now. And part of the reason for that is Meaghan Morris, who is joining us now. Meaghan, welcome back to the show. Last time I think we saw you on the Minute, you were wearing a red nose.
Yes, right. I was. That was
right?
The Operation Man.
Yes.
That's right.
Big Halloween episode.
Exactly. Good times.
So how are things going? You're out hunting, or what are you doing? You're in the woods.
Yeah, I had really great Wi-Fi service here, so I decided just to pick up my heels.
Right. How are things been going since we last saw you in the office, which, gosh, was March 16th, I think, right?
Yeah, it's been a while, but things are going well as they can be, getting used to the new normal.
Yep. Well, one thing that's become normal is lodges are jumping on our grant opportunities, right? You guys in the CIP have been processing tons of grant applications as we've sort of eased restrictions. So that to make it more easy to put our money to work in Elks communities. Why don't you tell people what the Spotlight grants typically are and the big change we made for this year?
Sure. So last year we debuted the Spotlight grant to focus on two specific issues that are facing nearly every American community, that being assisting veterans who are experiencing homelessness and also kind of bolstering family literacy in your community. So this year, with everything going on with COVID, we decided to open it up a little more to add increased flexibility and provide lodges the chance to provide immediate COVID relief any way they can in their community.
One of the big things we did last year when we introduced the Spotlight Grant, which is Meaghan came on board April 2nd, right, of 2019 with the Spotlight Grant. Basically, she debuted with the Spotlight Grant. Our whole idea behind it was to offer these 7 off-the-shelf projects, right? So that lodges who maybe were intimidated by using a beacon grant because it requires, Elks-led activities and hands-on involvement, that this would ease them into it. So we were really prescriptive with that. And as Meaghan said, one of the big things we wanted to do this year, given the pandemic, was step back and address that by offering the COVID relief. And you've approved how many applications already since June 1st?
Yeah, so since June 1st, we have 334 approved.
Yeah, check out these numbers. I just ran them. 334 approved. Mm-hmm. Only 38 need follow-up. So that's an approval rate of 90% at this point.
Yeah.
And again, as we always point out, follow-up does not mean you've been rejected. It means we have some questions. We want to work with you to make sure we can get those answered so that we can get that grant money out to you. And then there were 10 waiting in the queue. So the lodges have really, really jumped on this offer, just as they did with the gratitude grants in April. And I guess the biggest change I think we made mechanically in response to the pandemic was to relax the restrictions on active service. So the Spotlight grants can be used for donations as long as those donations are going to charities or organizations that are on the front lines of the pandemic or serving people on the front lines of the pandemic, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So in those 334 approved grants, what are we seeing? What kind of trends are you seeing?
Sure. So by and large, all 78% of the lodges that have been approved for Spotlight grants are using it directly for COVID relief. Of those 78%, 86 are using it directly towards food relief. So they're either providing food directly to individuals in their community, or they're donating to organizations like the food pantries, schools, or libraries that are providing backpack programs for children who are in need of food.
Well, we all hear the numbers about how many people are out of work right now, and when you don't have a paycheck coming in, it can be hard to go to the grocery store, right? So there's been a greater demand at food pantries, and one of the things we've been able to do with these relaxed grant guidelines is make it easier for us to support food pantries.
Right.
Exactly.
And what have been some of your favorite projects?
Sure. So, so my favorite project right now is from Homer, Alaska, lodge number 2127. And they've been working with their food pantry for the past couple years, it seems, providing fresh produce from their greenhouse. And with the Spotlight grant, they're going to make some upgrades to their greenhouse to yield at least 30 to 50% more produce. So already they provide 265 pounds of food a week. And so with this extra incentive, they're able to provide up to 500 pounds of food, just of fresh produce directly to their food pantry.
That's amazing. Every week?
Every week, yeah. So.
And then what a great way to augment some of the, non-perishable foods that are, usually front and center at a food pantry.
Exactly. Yeah, it's important to focus on the healthy aspects of it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, you said that I think 78% of the lodges so far are using these grants for COVID relief. So for the most part, donations, right? So that means 22% are doing the veterans projects and the literacy projects, which are more active. So like what kind of guidelines are we providing so that lodges can engage safely in active service?
Sure. So we've been encouraging lodges to, be safe and be relevant, as you mentioned in your lovely little hashtag. But primarily, we're encouraging them to focus on the guidelines that are instilled in their own local communities by visiting the CDC website and their state health department website, as well as checking out this new picture chart that we just posted on the CIP page the other day, which goes into detail.
We'll put a link right there.
Yes, which goes into detail what we're encouraging lodges to do, whether that's doing projects outside, doing virtual projects like Point Pleasant, New Jersey, who is doing a community baby shower online, which I think is wonderful. They're providing a lot of literacy resources and working with the library and Head Start programs. And then they'll be delivering products directly to the recipients. And we also have Petaluma, California, who's doing a drive-through stand down. So they're providing veterans in need with essential necessities.
I love how creative people have gotten in this time, right? Like that they have been hosting, like you said, the virtual baby shower, right? And they figure out how to do it and how to do it safely, and so that they're safe and the participants are safe. It's really great. A drive-through standby also amazing.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. It's so heartwarming to know that lodges are out there really understanding what's going on in their community and realizing what they can do to help.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Elks are problem solvers, and one of the great things about the CIP, the Elks offer a lot of wonderful programs nationally, but what's so unique about the CIP is it's up to the lodges to figure out what the need is and how to meet that. So, we sort of get out of the way. We provide some really broad parameters, and sometimes there's guidelines, but otherwise we get out of the way. You tell us what you want to do in your community, how you're going to do it, now how you're going to do it safely if it's more than just a donation. And then we're going to get you those funds so that you can make things better locally, right?
Exactly. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to call us. I love hearing about your communities and what you're doing, and we're always welcome to talk through any questions you have or shoot ideas back and forth.
Yeah, you guys are great brainstormers. You really help people get to, we always want to get to the place of yes with the grants, right? But
Exactly.
Jim, like you were saying, the whole program was founded on the philosophy that lodges know their communities best, right? And so we want to help them figure out a project that's going to best meet those needs, and we're happy to help.
Yeah.
Right. We're not a barrier, we're a bridge.
That's right.
Exactly.
Hashtag.
Not a barrier, a bridge. That's the next blog post.
Any other thoughts, Megan? Any projects that you would like to see, or anything else you want to share before we say goodbye?
Yeah, just really apply to the Spotlight Grant. There are so many available. It's available to every single lodge. So if you have any ideas, if you want to run anything past us, please let us know and we'll help you get there. So you get a $2,000 Spotlight Grant to help your community.
All right. Although, the offices have been closed, we're all working remotely, and it should be seamless for you. If you contact us, you send us an email or call the numbers on our website, you're going to get one of our folks working from home, and they will help you turn that idea into a project that we can fund.
Exactly. And we love the connection right now too. So don't hesitate.
Yeah, that is true. All right, Megan, thanks so much for taking some time out. Now go back there and process some more grants.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Megan.
Right. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, bye. All right, Meaghan Morris.
Awesome. Megan's great. Like I said, she has only been with us, 14, 15 months.
Well, the whole CIP team is new. We had quite a bit of turnover last year. And the net result was 3 new faces in the CIP. Just as the new grant, Megan as a new grant year was launching, and the other 2 a couple months later. But it was a real baptism by fire for all of them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, both Katie, who was on a few episodes ago, and their other colleague, Doug Wise, they both started in mid-July.
Doug was on when we announced the impact grants.
Oh, you're right. The impact grants. That's right. Last fall. I want to say, though, that last year with the debut of the Spotlight Grant, we had 551 total approved for the grant year 2020, right?
Right.
We're only 3 weeks in and we already have 334 approved.
Right. And relaxing that guideline and permitting donations has made a world of difference.
Absolutely.
Obviously, right. But it's important now. It's, now is not the time to be sticklers. And now is the time. Our response to this pandemic was to make it easier for lodges to use that grant money, not harder. I mean, again, we're not about putting up barriers. We're trying to build bridges so that we can help out your communities.
I mean, and we talked about the gratitude grants a few weeks ago. We just talked about the Spotlight grants. We've been talking about what's coming next, but we've already made available $7.4 million.
Right.
That's a lot of money. That's amazing. And our CIP staff, I'm so proud of them. They've been obviously, like we said, working from home, but that doesn't stop them at all. There's no, that's a seamless transition for them to be able to just be online and approving these things. And then turning them out and getting the checks out the door too. I mean,
and we're happy to, don't misread what I'm about to say, we're happy to see those other uses for the grants, but literacy is an important issue. Veteran homelessness obviously is an important issue, but people have to eat, so all this money that's going right now to food pantries is really, really essential right now.
Really essential. And I'm proud of the role we're playing in that.
Absolutely.
And all our viewers should be too.
So let's shift focus now to what's coming up on the horizon. We have a big show. You and I, the stars of the Midday Minute, have been tapped to host the kickoff for the ENFtoYou Summer Series, which will begin and will air, the first episode will air on Sunday at 5 p.m. Central.
Right. How exciting is that?
We are going to have on the show 2 very, very special guests, the top 2 most valuable students, right?
Right.
Two
That's right.
$50,000 scholarship winners will be on the show.
Well,
And some other cool things we have to share with you, right?
absolutely.
Now, at some point during the show on Sunday,
Mhm.
on Sunday only, so you have to tune in, you will have an opportunity to win a $1,000 donation to the charity of your choice and some ENF swag, right?
That's a very generous offer.
Yeah,
For
all you got to
tuning
do
in and
is
getting
tune
to
in
see
on
us and
Sunday
get to see-
and exactly, you get to see us. You get to
Get to
meet
see
the
the
top
scholars.
scholars, and we will tell you during the show on Sunday how you can win the $1,000. And if you do it, we will randomly select somebody from among the people who do it to win that $1,000 donations. And it's not, you know, it might be a soft credit if you want to do that, but it could be something else, a charity of your choice, like-minded, similar values to us, but you pick it. So
That's pretty
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We also have the big hamper hoop shoot going on. You know, the O'Kelly family submitted their entry recently. We are going to share the making of that video on the Sunday show.
Well, everybody saw my failed attempts last week, I'm sure.
Saw Debbie's attempts last week. So those are starting to trickle in. But just to be clear, you do not have to be an 8 to 13-year-old kid to participate. Anybody can do it. All you got to do is take a shot of video yourself taking a shot at some target around the house. Use the hashtag #HamperHoopShoot. Share it on whatever social media you want, but it's important that you tag us so that we can see it.
Right.
At Elks National Foundation. In fact, just head over to ENF or elks.org/ENF, and there's a story about the hamper hoop shoot in the carousel on our website. I'll put a link right up here too. Check that out, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to participate in the contest. And our backboard will be reviewing all the submissions, and they'll be selecting a winner who will receive a cool prize. So why not? And there's an opportunity to win a prize, but it's a really fun thing to do, and it helps to promote the hoop shoot. So why not, right?
Why not? It's the summer of fun prizes.
Yeah, we're trying to make the best of a crummy situation, and I think we're doing an okay job of it, right?
We're trying.
We're trying. Anything else, Debbie?
I am looking forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Yeah, it will be the first time we see each other in person since March 16th.
That's right.
Right?
March 16th. Yep.
Since we all got out of Saigon. Well, we started getting out of Saigon anyway.
Yeah, you stayed a little longer.
I stayed until I wasn't the last one out, but I stayed until the 19th. And then we had, I think, 3 other people in the office on the 20th. And that's it. We've all been working from home since then. So, as I mentioned, we're in the middle of sort of a soft reopening, but it's a gradual reopening of the office at partial capacity over the next month, or so. As we try to transition to something a little closer to normal, if not quite normal, right?
Right. Yeah, getting back takes a lot more planning than it did even to leave, right? I mean,
right.
We all had to leave. We had to figure all that out, but coming back safely also poses its own challenges.
Yeah, and I'm proud of the way I think we've kept the ship sailing during these past 3 months pretty well. And hopefully we've tried to share some good news. Lord knows there's been plenty of bad news. Everybody else is covering the bad news, but we've been trying to share good news and feel good stories. I mean, not just on this show, but in other media outlets. And hopefully we've been able to, create some feel good moments for you guys to help get us all through this crappy situation.
Right. Well,
all right.
See you Sunday.
Yeah, if you've don't forget to comment on this episode with the hashtag ENFMidday. Tell us whether you want us to stick with the weekly format or if you'd be okay with us going back to a bi-weekly or more frequent if necessary. If you've enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't, thumbs down. Either way, feel free to share it with your network. Subscribe if you're not already subscribing, and be sure to tap that bell so you'll be notified every time we post new content. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on Sunday.